Last week on the Poisonrana Patreon, we talked all about the March 6th, 2014 edition of NXT in a brand new Was Next, and Kill Bill Volume 1 in an all-new Up Yours.
I don't see the appeal in being in a gang.
You're always gonna
Especially
die.
low down like this. Like, the money can't be good this low down. And you're either gonna have to kill someone at some point, which I don't want to do.
Right.
Or be looking over your shoulder, maybe gonna be killed.
Yeah. I mean,
Don't be in a gang.
They look like they have money because they're all in suits and dressed nice and have nice swords and properly trained, but not trained enough.
Nah, they're not trained enough.
Because she is killing.
One girl is taking down like 50 people here.
Here she takes down like... Get this show plus NXT retro reviews, wrestling reviews, movie reviews, and so much more over at patreon.com/PoisonRana. And it's only $5, so what are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
Poisonrana.
Hello.
Hello.
Braden Herrington here with Davie Portman for Poisonrana, the podcast. You found us on whatever podcast app you are listening to us on. Hit that subscribe, hit that like, and we are
Live on youtube.com/@PoisonRanaPod. Hello, YouTube room. How are we doing?
hello, Poison pals. Hello, wrestling friends. We're here today to talk all about some wrestling and beyond. We're recording this. It's 2 p.m. Eastern time on a Sunday afternoon, but it's not just any given Sunday.
It's Super Bowl Sunday.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
So let this be your preview, your pre-show to the big game here today.
Your Super Bowl kickoff show press conference, yeah?
We're going to chat about this show here today about wrestling, and then me and you are going because you're hosting a bit of a Super Bowl party over at Gabby's, King Street West, the home of our watch parties. And so we're going to go. I'm only going because I want to make sure I put money down on is Usher starting his halftime performance while wearing sunglasses.
So I've set up some like little prediction
Some squares.
things. So we've got squares going on. We're going to do like we did last year, the closest to the correct time of the national anthem.
Right. Reba's singing it.
Yep. But then I've got to do my research after this. But then I've done a sheet with like 15 different things to predict. So some are like for the game, like winner of the first quarter, MVP, who scores first touchdown. But no one cares about that shit.
Yeah.
I've got what's Usher's first song?
Yeah.
What's Usher's last song?
Also, yeah.
Will Usher perform more than 8.5 songs? Yes or no?
Oh, yeah. Does he have more than 8?
So you got 9 or more songs? Yeah, I couldn't name 9 Usher
Well,
songs.
like the thing is with some of these halftime shows, they do like mashups of their own.
That's
songs,
fine. It's
right?
like even if it's like 30 seconds of
Yeah,
a song,
it
that counts as a
even
song.
if it's 10 seconds, it counts.
Yeah.
Kind of, right?
And then the most important one: will Usher be wearing sunglasses for his first song?
I've been training because I work in media, and having so I watch a lot of media and TV and news. Every fucking thing he's been doing to promote this thing, he's been wearing sunglasses.
Yeah, I mean, you figure he's going to wear sunglasses at some point during the set.
I think,
and
the
it's
whole thing.
weird to start without sunglasses
Yeah.
and then put them on.
Yeah, you're not going to put them on during your show. I mean, you could if
Yeah.
you're a real rock star, but yeah,
Um,
he's going to be wearing them.
I know I did win. I've said this a million times probably, but Bruno Mars wearing a collarless shirt.
Collarless
shirt.
Okay, so what do you think about this year? What's
What will Usher wear a collarless shirt?
well, like, see, I was like, okay, like, how do I put money down if like Lil Jon's gonna show up? And I think like it's pretty much
you
a
can
wrap.
you can put money down on that.
I'm pretty sure it's announced. Like he is showing up with him to do that song. So, and maybe Ludacris as well. Maybe other people.
Wow.
Who knows?
Great.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to Usher as much as some of the other performances. I definitely think Usher deserves his flowers. He's had a lot of tunes over the years. It's just like his type of songs and music doesn't necessarily make me get hyped up. And
like You Remind Me isn't really like a.
You make me want to leave the girl I'm with.
But I
like,
tend
what?
to enjoy the halftime shows, but yeah, I
Yeah.
think Usher's a bit of a B+ player.
I
And I mean that like he's not a C, player,
Yeah.
but like he's had good songs, but he ain't like the top tier. I'd always put Usher like, you had,
yeah.
Well,
yeah.
oh my God, like he's had good songs, but I'd never.
Oh my God, I would not say it's a good song.
I mean, it was a big song. It's a song I can name of Usher's.
True, right? Yeah.
Like, I just hate his ballads. They're so fucking whiny.
Yeah, there's a reason like a lot of his songs go well with screaming goat sounds.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's not necessarily one of my favorites, but I do respect that he's had like a pretty crazy and long career. And yeah, his music might not necessarily hit for us, but it was for a certain generation. But my kind of argument here is like, is he really the best pick for this? I'd said the same thing was like Katy Perry or whatever, but you're also trying to get like a different audience in because you already got the dudes who are super into the football. Yeah. Usually maybe you want to get the girlfriends or the wives or the friends who might, want to be there for the music. But this year it's like, like in hindsight, if they knew what was going on with the whole Taylor Swift saga of NFL, really, you would have just paid her
that would be a conflict of interest for
like
sure.
Having her play,
yeah,
and then
you can't
having her
do that.
I mean, considering most right-wing news outlets this week or this month thinking that this whole thing is a conspiracy theory of like, what are the odds that her boyfriend would be in the Super Bowl at the same time they've announced their like.
Well, it's all to keep Biden in office, isn't it?
Exactly.
That's the whole reason why Taylor Swift is dating Travis Kelce is just to keep Biden in office.
Yeah, it's not like he was in the
Tell
Super
me
Bowl
otherwise,
last year, or he was always a good
or that
player.
Taylor Swift was like not a big star a year ago. Like,
there's so many ridiculous things I've seen, but I mean, I'd like to see Taylor in the halftime show one day
because she's turned it down a couple of times.
Many people have turned it down, but now Apple Music has taken over as like the main sponsor for it this year, and I think last year too. So like, you'd figure they'd shell out a lot of money. Like the Dr. Dre one, I'm pretty sure they paid him a fuck ton to bring in his
because
friends.
you don't get paid by the NFL,
No,
do you? It's just through any sort of
sponsor.
sponsorship you get. But
so we'll
still,
see.
I feel it's like like it's kind of like main eventing WrestleMania. Like obviously, you main event WrestleMania, you should have one of the best paydays. But like, I feel most wrestlers would do that for free.
Sure,
Yeah.
I think it's always interesting watching the halftime performance and then getting everyone's opinions on it and like, oh, what did they like it and this and that. And like, again, it's not going to be for everyone, but I'm always interested as a music fan. I'm always interested to watch it.
It's the same every year. You'll see on Twitter, as soon as it's over, you'll see half of the people saying that's like the best. Every year it's, that was the best performance since Prince. Like every year since Prince, people have been like, whoever it is.
No one ever says it was better than Prince though. Any year ever.
And
it never will
or
be.
You get like, at the other half being like, that was the worst one ever. That sucked. That was terrible. And then, and also if it's ever a female performing, it's, I can't believe she dressed like that. Kids are watching this show and all this stuff. Yeah.
Free the nip.
Yeah.
Halftime show. We'll see what people think about Usher, but I'm excited to see. I want more like rock bands, but I guess rock bands just aren't as popular these days, right? Like,
I mean, you had Chili Peppers a few years ago, didn't you?
I would have preferred it just being Chili Peppers over like Bruno with Chili Peppers for like one song. I think that was what happened. They came out for like one song.
Did they join fucking Maroon 5 guy as well?
Oh, is that? Oh,
What's
that was
his
one
name?
of the worst ones.
That wasn't good.
That was probably my least favorite in a long time. So, but yeah, I like the Weeknd ones. I know that one got criticized, but again,
I like the Weeknd. I liked Shakira and
that was okay.
And J-Lo. Like, I like anything that gets you like dancing. I like, everyone seemed to love it. I didn't like the big rap one because they all just stood there.
Oh no, I love
like
that.
I wanted I need performances, I need dancers and shit. Like people just in a full stadium standing there rapping doesn't really do it for me.
Well, I like that one probably more of the recent ones. Like the last few years, that one does stand out. Like because it had it was a bit of a showcase of like different people, but I still think the Prince one is like very untouchable. But I wonder who going forward will we see. I like when they do also like a few acts, like having Post Malone being there for singing like one of the other opening songs. I wonder if he also is like part of Usher. They don't have songs together, but it could also be good. I need to see Post Malone do it one year. He needs more bigger bangers, I guess. You need to have like a catalog.
You need like, I don't know. For me, you need something you can like sing along and like jump around to.
Yeah, Usher isn't that.
No. You remind me of a girl.
My confessions. Like he's got bangers. Best match ever.
He's got songs.
But yeah,
He's got a banger.
like he was a way bigger deal over here, I'd imagine, especially in the States. But he's just like wasn't for me. But let us know what you think. What will Usher wear? Will he be wearing sunglasses?
Yeah.
To start his performance. So that's the halftime presentation preview from.
Who do you want to win?
Travis and Kansas City, so that when he by the end of this year, he'll have 2 rings on his hand. He'll have one given Taylor at the end. I want him to get down on one knee after winning the Super Bowl. He's going to say, "I'm going to Disneyland," and then he's going to say, "Taylor, will you marry me?" That's the ultimate, like
49ers for me.
Is that the other team?
Well, I haven't been to Kansas City. I've been to San Fran a couple of times.
Right.
Been at the stadium.
Yeah.
And too much of this Taylor Swift nonsense.
No,
it's taken away from the game, Braden.
Yeah, a lot of people are upset that it's taken away from the game. I could be like, I could understand why. I see it from both sides. I'm a wrestling fan, right? Been a wrestling fan since I was a little kid. You know who used to watch wrestling only? Bunch of fucking dudes. Bunch of angry dudes all the time. Aggressive dudes. They've all migrated to UFC as they've grown up. Some of us who haven't grown up still watch wrestling. And now my wrestling is being invaded by like all these people who want to watch reality love shows, and it's like, what happened to wrestling, right? That's what's happening to football if you let Taylor take over.
Is that so?
Is
wrestling being taken over by
it's taken over? We shouldn't have.
I don't
we shouldn't have let him in. No, that's what people are saying about NFL. Like the interviews of fans you're getting everywhere is like, oh my God, Taylor's ruining the game. It's like, man, just because like she's maybe bringing some new eyes to it, like
it cuts her a few times during the multitude of fucking stop starts during the game.
Right.
It's like it's either a commercial or that, or like
I was gonna say, yeah, people are angry that it cuts to her, but like there's only like fucking 10 minutes of action in these games anyways, over like the span of 3 hours.
It's a 3-hour commercial.
So like it's not the most like athletic game considering like football, like real football, UK football, you know, like footy.
I mean, it's different kind of like. It's like saying like a fucking clarinet is easier than a violin. You know, it's a different discipline,
right?
Completely. But I mean, I'd say like, look at these dudes. Like they're athletes, but yeah, it's a different. Like I like football because it's nonstop. Yeah. Like you get 45 minutes, give a little bit for extra time.
Not American football.
Nonstop, both halves. Whereas, yeah, the amount of commercials do my head in. But it's good because you've got time to go pee, you've got time to get more wings, time to get another drink, time to do everything during the game.
Yeah, it's more like baseball. There's like not a whole lot going on, but when there is, there's some action.
Oh, baseball. Don't get me wrong, I've enjoyed some baseball games, but when I have people at the bar watching like a soccer game and it's like, oh, it's so boring, nothing happens. Look, it's still 0-0. Oh, and then they go, anyway, how about that Blue Jays game? I'm like, come on. Like 3 hours of sitting, like watch it. The funniest was when I went to that one in Detroit. I can't remember who the guy was, but they were making a big deal of this guy.
Right.
I think it's his last year playing or whatever, some old dude. And he like hit the ball and then just walked to first base and got thrown out. I'm like, come on, I could outrun all these guys in baseball.
But they make the most money.
Baseball players?
I mean, like, no, just athletes in general. Like all these real athletes compared to wrestlers, they're making fucking insane amount of money.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like you could take what team is this? San Francisco? You could
49ers,
take, you could take all the team players that make a shit ton of money, split their contracts in half, and take all that money and fix the homeless population in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And they'd still be very, very rich. Just saying. Yeah. But then that has its own problems there too. But yeah, go Chiefs. That's what I'm saying.
Go 49ers.
I'm just like, yeah, the one
Chiefs
Taylor
won it
Swift,
recently as
they
well.
won it last year, didn't they?
It was either last year or year before.
Yeah, like it's not like they're like.
And then I don't think 49ers have for a while.
Look, again, not a true. We've spent way too much on this, but I'm not a real sports fan. But the stories going behind it is this guy Travis. Yeah, he's dating Taylor Swift. There's your story. Amazing thing. The other team. The guy, I'm blanking, obviously people know more than me. He's playing on the team being coached by his dad, who won the Super Bowl with that team as well. So it's like,
wow, that's a better story.
Yeah, like there's some good stories.
That's better story than Rich Man Has Girlfriend.
I like Rich Man Has a Girlfriend. It's Taylor Swift, so there's some good stories going in.
I did see a t-shirt I wanted to get, but it wouldn't have arrived in time. That just said, like, "Let's go, Taylor's boyfriend."
Yeah,
and I was wondering if I wore that tonight, how many people would it piss off?
Probably a lot, but yeah, let's go, Taylor.
All right, well, shall we get into the show?
Yes, there's a lot to talk about in the world of wrestling. We got AEW Revolution coming up in a little while. We got WWE hot with some press conferences this week, and I don't even know where to begin.
I mean, shall we start with the like shitty stuff? And then,
I guess so.
And then cheer up.
Yeah, we should start off with some things that aren't the most fun to talk about.
So the latest on kind of the Vince McMahon scandal, if you want to call it that, we had Ashley Massaro's lawyer revealing quite a lot going into the rape in Kuwait from the military, and how WWE have always denied that this happened, that they were told about it. And Johnny Ace kind of, blowing the whistle a bit and maybe just squealing for his life right now, as he said that, no, the executives were aware of this, and it was kind of brushed aside.
Yeah, very, very disgusting. I would recommend, if you're listening to this and you don't really know what's going on, read the Vice article about this with the Ashley Massaro being brought up, specifically some of the stuff. When that came out a few years back, like I remember reading it. I remember these stories have been kind of out there for a while. Yeah. Different wrestlers have kind of said things here and there. And it seems now like a lot of people are putting the pieces together. And obviously having Johnny 6ix9ine, as I'm calling him, he's kind of in a way revealing other things by saying, oh no, I'm a victim. But also like some of this, if he's kind of not turning it down, not like, he's kind of agreeing that maybe some of this is true, then the whole thing with Ashley is very sickening, very disgusting. I found myself reading that article again, listening to Post Wrestling, John Pollock, Brandon Thurston with David Bixenspan on as well. That was a hard listen, but a very interesting listen, because it's not just one story, right? It's not just now, oh, Vince and some people knew about the soldier thing in Kuwait and then wanted to go under the rug. And then you watch people online, these detectives who are finding on-air promos, vignettes featuring Vince.
The one with Ashley, the coffee?
The one with the coffee
awful.
Was disgusting to watch. If you have not seen this, find it somewhere. But oh my God,
it's one of those things as well where it's like, okay, we have that thing with wrestling all the time, when you have a character who's maybe saying some offensive stuff that's questionable, and we've always had that debate on this show about, well, it's still a scripted drama as well. You watch an HBO drama and you have people saying racist things or derogatory things or whatever, and it's the characters saying that, not necessarily it's not the actor. They're playing a role. And I think there's always been that weird gray area in wrestling, because it's like semi-real. And I think you watch stuff like Vince and Ashley Massaro back in the day, and you would think, oh, well, they're playing their role. And I mean, the performance from Vince there is pretty terrifying as well in that specific like coffee scene. But then when you hear about all this stuff going on and you realize that it's Vince just getting his kicks really out of humiliating these people, apparently never really paid much attention to Ashley until her Playboy came out, and then was booking her like on the company jet and putting her in a nice hotel and continuously calling to sort of to share the room with her and stuff like that. And then when she turned down, writing an awful promo that Michael Hayes was like, who the fuck wrote that? And then, oh, it was Vince. Oh, well, okay. Well, you got to do it then. And it's
gross.
It's really gross. And I think we're just going to get more and more of these stories come out. And to think this girl ended up taking her life. And I mean, I'm sure there's other things, but this must have contributed a lot towards, being a victim of abuse, essentially.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I've been saying it for the past few weeks, is like, man, just look at the stuff this guy did on air. And yes, of course, it's wrestling. It blurs the line of reality and a scripted television show with characters and acting. But this guy for years has been using this as an excuse for, oh, this is Candice Michelle. Yeah, I have to make out with you. Oh, Trish. Yeah, you're going to hang around me naked and bark like a dog. And anything that you've watched in the last like 30 years that made you go, that's kind of gross, that's kind of twisted. As soon as all this is coming out and receipts being, put out in the world, it makes you think back. And specifically, if you watch back any of the Vince stuff in the past, it makes you nitpick and dial in a bit of like, oh, wait a second, maybe this is even more twisted than we even thought in the first place. We do a Patreon thing where we go back and watch retro wrestling. We're doing one for Elimination Chamber. We had our listeners vote, and you guys voted for a SummerSlam 2003. So we went back and we watched it this week, and out this week on our Patreon. But we went back and watched it, and a storyline that was going on in that time was Eric Bischoff feuding with the McMahons, technically. So therefore, makes out with Linda McMahon. And watching this was like, was this Eric's idea? Was this Linda's idea? No, fuck no, it wasn't. You know whose idea this was. Yeah, you're going to hold my wife's arms back. You're going to make out with her. And it's going to be amazing and great quality TV.
Whilst Vince is kind of having an affair with Sable. Like year after year, it's, okay, who's hot? I'm going to book myself in an affair angle. Yeah. Like he did it so many times.
Absolutely fucked. So yeah, like looking back on all these are just nitpicking of like all the little things, but it was so hard watching back this like one pay-per-view with clips of like the whole angle of like Sable and how they're like, oh yeah, Sable's a private suite with Vince McMahon and then Bischoff being like, oh Vince, I know you like to go out for hamburgers, but you got steak at home. And
it's you just think back about like we've all as wrestling fans had to go through the whole the Benoit tragedy, and that everyone has different, some people can't watch anything involving Benoit. We kind of have to. I think I've kind of got beyond that now. Like I can separate it somewhat when we're doing these past reviews. But some people can't. They like watch him and all they can think of is what happened over those couple of days. And this Vince thing, it takes over everything because he's literally had his hands on everything involved in WWE since a few months ago.
Yeah.
So it makes and you think of all the other thing women have had to go through, like, the Piggy James character or Natalia farting and all these sort of things that are just humiliating. And you wonder what went into that.
Yeah.
It's really disgusting. I think this story is just going to keep on growing. I think it sounds like the case is getting stronger and stronger. The more we hear about these things coming out, the more people speaking. And I'm sure there's stuff that we don't know about as well, because it's, a whole legal proceeding and there's
NDAs.
I guess so. But like, it's, I think you're going to see, I just wonder how many more changes we're going to see to the company. It wouldn't surprise me if there's a big clean out.
Like, look, there's got to be a lot more dirt on him throughout, 30, 40. How many years this guy been doing this kind of stuff on TV, running WWE? So it's like, yeah, there's going to be some other things that eventually come out, whether it comes out while he's still alive or years when he's long gone. Who knows what actually comes out? And as the Ashley story, like for me, after reading all of these things in that Vice article, it's like, hey, how do we find out who actually did that in Kuwait? That really like irks me. It's like, how did they just never looked into it? It looks like, digging into it a little bit, there was like hey, we need to dig into this and see what was going on there, and they just kind of let it go and didn't really dig to it too much because it's the army.
She was then left in Kuwait as well. She had to make her own way home.
Which
disgusting. Is just fucked.
It's so
going through
so
probably
awful.
The most horrific
thing in her whole entire
life.
Yeah, being drugged and paralyzed and all that stuff it is very horrifying. And this story, like again, this story kind of been out there for a while, but having Johnny Ace kind of be like, oh yeah, we knew about it. Vince knew about it. We all knew about it. It's like, that is pretty damning. If we kind of already assumed that, but to hear it finally, you're like, yeah, that's fucked. So the saga of Vince McMahon is nowhere near over, as this stuff will keep coming out. We're a month and a few days into 2024, and wrestling news every day, it seems it's go. So
you had Bret Hart's comments as well, pretty much just disowning Vince and saying lost all respect and like wouldn't shake his hand if I see him again. And what I did like was the apologizing to Rita Chatterton. I think it was the texts which we mentioned were like, look like they're written by a teenager.
Yeah.
And Bret were like, oh yeah, they're Vince's texts. So clearly, like, knowing the way he
always types with you and
emojis or whatever.
Lots of exclamation points.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty fucked. Not trying to make light of it, but it was interesting hearing Bret like that apology. But I mean, Bret, you had one line to be like, Vince screwed Vince here.
Yeah.
Because Vince, you're getting it now. You're the one who should be, you know, in trouble for all this, potentially jail if it goes that route. So just crazy. A lot of people are definitely going to want to kind of disassociate themselves with Vince McMahon, which you don't hear some people within WWE doing that, which is like telling.
You're hearing a lot more this time than the first time round.
Yeah.
First time round, you didn't hear any.
No, we had
comments.
Stephanie on
you
SmackDown.
Had thank you, Vince, and all that.
Fucked.
Whereas now you've got Seth Rollins, who I think has been criticized in the past for being a bit of a bootlicker, a bit of a company man.
Yeah.
And him like he saying more than Triple H has said, you know, like condemning these actions, saying it's awful, and hope he like says anyone involved has to go. I mean, that could be Daddy Paul as well. Like, I was surprised to hear that. Obviously, Cody in the press conference as well, and I'm sure everyone's been told what they can and can't say. But I found that quite interesting. That people are definitely, you're not seeing the unless you're maybe a Kevin Nash, you're not really seeing the levels of support of Vince this time round.
Yeah.
And the, you know, like, oh, I think both Siino and Danielson kind of said something the first time round. It's, you know, we've all made mistakes, and like I have too, and that guy was a father figure to me, blah, blah, blah. I haven't seen that at all this time round.
Yeah, because they can't associate with him anymore. It would look very, very bad on anyone to do that. So, yeah, I wouldn't imagine Triple H says much more. He's probably just hoping this kind of goes away and people forget or something. I really don't know. I was expecting a lot more from him in that press conference, and still hasn't said anything. He's mad about The Rock getting in his face, kayfabe wise, but he's not so mad about Vince McMahon. I wonder if Triple H has read this Wall Street article. Yeah,
I wonder how much from like TKO's point of view is like, let's get through Mania and then we'll clean up. You know, like Vince is gone. He's the main one.
Yeah.
But these lawsuits and things are going on, and maybe like just get through the next 6 weeks.
Yeah, we'll see. It's fucked. But like, again, longtime wrestling fans, is this shocking that Vince McMahon is finally getting what was coming all these years? Like, no, like you show anyone, oh, I love wrestling. They'd be like, you like that weird shit. That's like, you think of all the Attitude Era type things Vince was doing, and like some of the most fucked up storylines that made you cringe, and just think back to some of the worst wrestling stuff from WWE over the years. And there's hours of content, backstage vignette, the coffee thing that maybe lasted 2 minutes on one show, another show. Like every week there was always something with Vince and the storylines and all that shit. And just, again, think of all the stuff that people have turned down that we haven't seen on TV. It's fucked. So again, obviously we're guilty as innocent until proven guilty. Like, you got to make your own opinions and judgments on these things. And I don't know how some people who are as, you know, into the world of wrestling that are like, oh, well, I don't believe all these things. It's like, really there. It takes a lot. It takes a lot, but it's like, really, come on.
Innocent until proven guilty, but where there's smoke, there's usually fire, and there's like a whole fucking
hot box,
like
of smoke right now. It's fucked. So I'm and this guy, like, he ran wrestling. He made wrestling to the point where it got so popular as it is today. But in doing so, he abused that power, and that's what this is about. It's about this fucking another old rich white guy billionaire who abuses his power, and we've seen that not just in the world of wrestling, but like Hollywood and everywhere else in the world. But it also worked in wrestling. It's just, of course,
he just needs his pal to get back into office to give him a pardon, doesn't he?
Imagine, yeah. There's also that. That's also going on in the news, but that's another thing. Yeah. Sorry.
Shall we move on to the kind of state of WrestleMania Kick-Off /
yes,
press conference, not press conference?
Yeah, we got off our chest yelling at Vince McMahon again. I'm sure there'll be more shows of that, but let's talk. Let's be happy again and talk about. The reason I like wrestling is it's supposed to be an escape of all the bad shit in the world going on, and yet in the world of wrestling, being a fan, you cannot escape some of the bad shit that happens. But yes, let's disassociate and separate the world of wrestling and talk about the stuff that's supposed to be entertaining.
Yeah,
which is WrestleMania time. All right, it's WrestleMania season. We're supposed to be happy. We're wrestling fans. We got to get into the spirit of WrestleMania. Vince is gone. Let's just focus on that, I guess. And they had a pretty big press conference, maybe possibly the biggest. It was heard around the world. It was aired on so many different news broadcasts this week. I can't explain how many times I tuned to different channels that were covering this the night of, or the morning after of this Vegas press conference, which you could say is more than a success in them doing so. They never really did announce next year's Mania, right?
No, they didn't. They didn't.
I mean, obviously, Super Bowl is in Vegas this weekend. It was also good and smart because today and yesterday, all I see on social media is WWE sending out their wrestlers with title belts to hang out with celebrities. So get that WWE net all over so you're ready for WrestleMania. So maybe that was just like, fuck it, let's just do it in Vegas.
Everyone's in town. It was a free event, right? So they filled this arena.
Was it free? Oh, I thought people had to buy tickets.
I believe it was free.
Oh, okay.
I might be wrong there, but yeah, I think it was free.
Okay.
But I really like this. I've seen criticisms. Oh, it's not a press conference. You can't do the Q&A stuff. But it was more like I think Benno on Grapple put it out. It's like the Apple kind of revealing the new iPad kind of thing.
With
it had
the bloodline.
Exactly. It had that sort of vibe. And I actually really liked it. I wasn't working that night, so just was about to cook dinner. I was like, oh, that press was on, and put it on. And to start with, you kind of just I don't know why we're having this women's chamber match, because Becky and Rhea are like, we're doing this match. We've got some stuff in the way, but we're doing this match. But the main stuff obviously was Roman, Cody, Rock, and Seth.
And Seth. Yeah, Seth just hanging out in the corner. Like, oh yeah, don't forget about me, guys. Right. He's injured still, right?
Yeah.
That's why he's just kind of sitting. I think Seth got roasted the absolute worst, more than anyone in this conference, because he's just standing there like fucking Steven Glansberg all alone while the big boys are actually dealing with some big boy WrestleMania stuff. But it was Roman Reigns who comes out, and Seth thinks he's got him and goes, oh, look who's actually showed up to work today. And without missing an absolute beat, Roman goes, yeah, look who showed up wearing his wife's shoes today. As it shows Seth wearing fucking bows on his shoes. I was like, yeah, you stay in that corner. You stay, right over there. You're not involved in this anymore. And I just thought he just stood there like, yep, I'm just gonna watch Cody get roasted. And then The Rock comes out, cuts a great heel promo. Ever since his little show got clipped from Pat McAfee, that was like all around during the day. That clip about the Cody crybabies, that kind of tipped me off that, okay, he's realized what's happened, or they've realized what's happened, and they're switching it, because I felt like he was giving off more of the 03 Hollywood Rock vibes, and that's exactly what we got.
It was that / corporate Rock, I think you've seen a lot of criticisms from people like, oh, has Rock not got his finger on the pulse as much anymore?
Yeah.
I think this proved them absolutely wrong, because this was The Rock completely reading And he was the peak of his career. He was very good at that. Think like Rock Hogan, where like Toronto just turned against Rock and were all pro Hogan. Wasn't necessarily expecting that. And The Rock knew how to pivot and go with that. I thought he was great here. The whole bringing up the bloodline. We saw that whole family tree, including like Jacob Fatu at the bottom there.
Ava Rain.
Yeah.
Where's the Tonga, like Tama Tonga, and where's that coming?
I think
it's like
aren't they like, you know, when your mum has a friend who she calls auntie
uncle?
when you're younger. I think it's like
I was looking for the Tonga twins on there, but yeah, I guess the family goes deeper than that. But yeah, that was pretty funny.
And then just like kind of steamrolling through the crowd, like trying to get his usual like babyface catchphrases in, but everyone booing him and saying like, you will respect it. This is what's like best for business and all that. And then Cody coming out like completely pissed off because, you know, both kind of saying there's only one real royal family in wrestling. So he took the first shot. And what Cody said about the bloodline wasn't particularly offensive.
No,
he was like, your grandparents would be ashamed of you.
Right.
Rock slapping him, the pull apart. I think what was great was doing this kind of setting. It's like a quote unquote press conference. So it comes across as more, even though it was a show, it came across a bit more real than like just a 20-minute promo at the beginning of Raw.
Yeah.
And also because it's not on TV, you could swear. So you had all the like off mic, like, you're saying shit about me. What the fuck? Like, get the fuck out of here. All that stuff, which just added to the realism. And you see people like I have like regulars at work who catch up through like Twitter clips or Instagram clips. And he's like, was that real? And like, no,
damn
but
real.
it's, I loved it. I think you've now got back to Cody and Roman. We don't know what the kind of night one thing is. I imagine it's the tag people are talking about, Cody and Seth against Roman.
I mean, yeah, if Triple H was not out of commission, you'd imagine it's going to that match. They really did set up years ago, remember, in a SmackDown segment?
Yeah.
Where they were like, we're going to set this up
set
just
up
in
at
case.
Mania 31 as well.
Yeah, we're like,
Rondo.
well, let's set this up just in case. And it feels like Seth is going to be the pawn of Triple
and
H.
Seth has always been Triple H's boy, you know, and well, both Seth and Cody, you know, both use the pedigree.
Right.
Cody did the whole like sledgehammer throne thing. Like they all have their connection with Triple H. And like, I'm now at the point, okay, this could have been a pivot, like, but I don't think it's to the extent of where, you know, they brought in Batista and were like just completely going against the crowd, like not going to go with Daniel Bryan. I feel this is a bit different because you got The Rock available. Of course, you're going to want to go for that match, but you've been building this Cody thing for so long. And I think it's worked. We are still 6-7 weeks away from Mania. And I am completely in the camp now. Let it play out. People, we should know the match. Why? Like, both nights are sold very well. They don't need to worry about ticket sales. They don't need to worry about pay-per-view until the day of, really. Like, am I going to watch this? Cool. I'm going to buy Peacock today to watch it. You don't need like crazy advances on buying a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And we got time before Mania.
Yeah.
So why not spread it out?
Yeah, we have like having Cody and Roman as the match. Yeah, that's great. I feel like finally let him finish the story.
Yeah.
We said that last year, but you know, knock on wood, Cody actually does finish the story. Going forward, it should set up Rock v Roman for next year for not the title, but the head of the table or whatever. Like, it looks as if they're doing more of a bloodline 2-man power trip kind of thing. I love how Roman Reigns has been the ultimate bad guy kingpin in wrestling for the last year, 2 years, maybe 3 years. And as soon as The Rock steps foot in the same promo as him, he literally just Lil Bros himself. Like, oh, sorry. Yeah, here you go, Rock. Take over here. And it's great, but it makes me wonder of like, are we getting a tag match night one? Is it Cody and Seth versus Rock and Roman? And doing that does somehow like have a little dissension between The Rock and Roman, which then maybe, you know, with Solo or someone trying to stop Cody the next night, maybe Rock has a change of heart and actually helps Cody
100%
win the title is something that could possibly happen.
I think it's actually, again, like people are like, oh, but Roman looked like a bitch next to The Rock. It's like, let it play out,
Right.
because they want to do this Roman Rock match. I think that works. The Rock coming in feeling like the bigger deal than Roman. I think you have some dissension during the match. You could even have The Rock maybe take the pin. I don't know if he'll go that far, but something.
Seth is in the match. He's taking the pin.
Roman. Well, we'll get to that. Roman being like pissed at The Rock and like pissed because he is seen as the bigger deal, and you can kind of have a turn end of night 1, and then you do the usual solo Sikoa shit night 2, but this time The Rock is there to take him out, and Cody wins. And then you've set up Rock v Roman in the singles, whether that's at next year's Mania, at a SummerSlam, or whatever. So I think it works. As for Seth, like I could potentially see Seth getting the win on night 1. I think we need promos from, and we've got time, from everyone. Yeah, Seth looked like a bitch. If you go to this story, I believe Seth is the only one to have beaten Roman during this title reign. It was a disqualification, but Seth won that match technically. So Roman hasn't beaten him during this title reign. I think that's something Seth should be calling back on. It's like, you're calling me the B champion, but you needed to get disqualified to keep your title when you face me, and I haven't had another chance.
Like, clearly this tag match is where they're going with. I mean, unless you insert Rock into the Roman Cody match, would like make it a triple threat. But you've already announced it.
I feel you flip-flopped enough with it now.
Yeah, like I really like the presser. You kind of said it. It made things feel like a bit different. It reminded me of like, boxing or MMA.
Press like conference. WWE haven't really done this at all.
They don't do them as much, but when they do, it definitely, I feel like this was like the most impactful one. Again, I saw this everywhere. Like the night after, it's just like it worked. It got all the spots.
Had a similar feel to when Punk came out and the like fan footage of Seth going off and all that. Like I feel that's something they're trying to lean into.
Like one problem I had was Cody doesn't fix how Cody was like, but not at WrestleMania.
Okay, so I've got Jake's brought that up in the chat as well. Yeah, okay. He says, I think my only criticism is what made Cody have a change of heart from the SmackDown before and did a hard pivot to now I want to face Roman at Mania. I think there's a way you can have like Cody explain it. When you kind of, I'm thinking back to at our Royal Rumble event, and our friend Tom, Pure Fandom, shout out, I see him in the chat, sold a couple of items maybe cheaper than he should have.
Right.
And when you let someone talk you into something, and you think you've got a good deal, and then afterwards you're head scratching like, fuck, what did I do there? Wait a minute.
He sold an Austin vest, an original Austin vest, and a replica big gold.
Yeah.
Big gold
belt, I think.
And he sold it for $375 Canadian.
Yeah.
So he feels like he got ripped off.
And just the belt alone is probably
like $6
about that. So, but I think you can have, Cody has been a martyr a few times. Go back to his AEW, which they reference somewhat at times.
Yeah.
He's like, I've lost this match. I'm never going for the title again.
Right.
You've had like little moments like this during his career. And then you have Cody win the Rumble, and then The Rock, who is very charming and very like
The Rock
political, but like in a friendly, charming way, talking to him. And it's like, Cody, like, I'm coming into this company and like, I see you as the star, but like, you need to let this happen. Like, you're going to have your match. You're going to have your moment. You will win it. And, but you need to let me and Roman happen, and kind of hoodwinking Cody into being like, yeah, absolutely. You can do that. And then I can win the title. And then it's not until Rock is going like, there's only one real royal family and all that. He's like, fuck you. Yeah. And then thinking, you know what? I'm fed up of letting people walk over me and stepping aside. So I think you can explain that change of heart as well.
Yeah.
And you see that with Rollins as well, who's always been kind of the company guy and has also been in a similar position, stepping aside to like let bigger matches happen and that kind of thing. And also being like, no, fuck that. That's bullshit. It should be Cody's. And I think we've got time to like fill in the gaps. And obviously it seems like this was 100% a pivot that you changed in a week. I'm okay with that. Like a lot of like great scripted dramas don't necessarily know where they're going. And, you know, one character gets really popular and you lean that way. And
absolutely
people who were booked in a show to do 2 episodes become season regulars.
Happens all the time.
It happens all the time.
You ever look at the trivia for your favorite movies or shows? Like Walking Dead, Breaking Bad. Fucking Jesse Pinkman was supposed to be killed off like right away.
Jack in Lost was meant to be killed in the pilot.
Like half the people in Walking Dead first few seasons were like meant to be either not even on the show.
Yeah.
Like half the shows that I love watching, it's like, oh wait, this character wasn't even supposed to be in it. And it's like, yeah, it happens. So it's like you go with what's working. I do think we're going to the tag match night 1, which in a way is still cool. I'm not sure what Seth would do night 2, but like
Seth versus the Chamber winner.
I guess. Oh, right. Yeah. So the winner of that gets to face Seth. Is that what they kind of said?
Yeah.
Okay. So
they set that up on SmackDown.
Yeah. So like the winner of that, who would be like Drew?
I guess so.
Don't really care about that, but I like what Drew's been doing. He's been funny and leaning into the Punk stuff. It sucks we don't have Punk. It would be weird having that tag match as a main event of Mania, but it is The Rock. You've got to go with.
It's also the 40th, and you main evented the first WrestleMania with a 4-way.
Yeah.
And kind of, I guess The Rock is Mr. T here. Yeah, like, although he's heel, but he's the Hollywood guy, you know?
Yeah. In a weird, strange way. I mean, another thing I've joked to you is like, have Rock beat Seth night 1 so that he becomes that title.
Right.
And then Cody beats Roman night 2. And then you have Rock hold on to that title and do what Roman did. Like change what titles mean what.
Have the WWE title as the workhorse.
And the other one is turn the Cuck title into the Hollywood title essentially, but I don't think that's the route.
Yeah, I think like during a time where, you know, all the negative stuff going on in WWE can make you kind of feel a bit sick watching it. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who have completely switched off, and that's absolutely fine. Like that aside, they've done a great job right now of making me want to see what happens next. And I've been watching Raw and SmackDown kind of consistently the last few weeks. I watched a fucking quote unquote press conference because I want to know what is next in this story. Yeah. And because we still don't know fully what's going on, it's making me more compelled to watch it each week. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got a lot of people talking. Even if you went with The Rock, you'd still have people upset about the Cody thing, but you're having people upset right now. Like I see John Price in the chat saying Cody is terrible. You saw that Cody got some boos too when The Rock is standing against The Rock, who's one of the most famous people on the entire planet. Like your grandma knows who The Rock is. Yeah. Your grandma doesn't know who Cody Rhodes is yet. However, Cody Rhodes sells a lot of fucking t-shirts. Cody Rhodes sells a lot more shirts than Seth Rollins has probably ever sold in like 1 year. Cody Rhodes is the guy right now. Like he is making the most money for this company. It makes sense. Obviously, you bring The Rock in and he'll sell a couple shirts too, I'm sure. But like, it is crazy that they have a problem of too many good cooks right now, which has not been the case for so long in WWE. So like, yeah, that's why a lot of people are really excited right now. And selfishly, we're going to WrestleMania weekend. Like, yeah, I'm torn. It's like, I've never seen The Rock wrestle live, but it's something that I could potentially see. As much as people going there are like, oh, I want to go to see Cody finish the story. I do too. So now maybe I get to do both. A little bit of both there, right? So
I just want to be able to see. I hope they mash up Roman's theme, head of the table, with Hollywood Rock is cooking.
Yeah,
like they'll go. They both have the same kind of beat to it.
I mean, isn't Roman's just Taz's theme?
Slow down, apparently, but I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, put that. Rock's Hollywood theme is one of my all-time favorites for sure. And you know what? Rock sounded to me. I've never been as more interested in The Rock since like 2003, since back then. Yeah. So I thought him as the heel already is like way more better than him coming out and being the same old like cookie cutter shit. It's like finally he's kind of. I said as soon as I saw him on that TKO thing, I was like, man, this guy looks like a super villain. little did I know that that's exactly what he should be right now. He doesn't. We don't need a hero. We got
and berating Triple H.
Loved it,
which was great.
And then Triple H's rebuttal on SmackDown, which I'm like, Triple H, you're really angry at The Rock. Are you wrestling The Rock?
Yeah.
Please don't.
But again, it's like, let it play out. I see, you made Triple H look like a bitch. And it's like, okay, well, he might have a chance to get back. And he did. But so I thought it was great.
So I don't think we're seeing Rock wrestle at the Chamber.
I doubt it.
But I do think we are seeing him wrestle this year at WrestleMania. And then next year, Roman v. Rock. Next year at WrestleMania. So we got some good stuff cooking.
Or it could be a Saudi show or something like that.
I know that they're probably gunning for that, and this guy, if fucking Mansoor can make a lot of money doing a Saudi show, then The Rock could make millions on millions on millions. So who knows? But I do think Mania is where
Mania makes most sense.
Yeah. So there we know these matches for Mania: Cody versus Roman, obviously closing night 2 of WrestleMania. We have Bayley and Io Sky.
Yeah, did you see Bayley's segment on SmackDown?
I actually did not know.
I really like what they're doing with it. Okay. I think Bayley's done like a bit of a slow, like, I mean, it's 2 weeks, but a slow face turn that kind of makes sense, where she's kind of a hybrid now of her old character and her heel character, and she's like talking to the crowd, and it's like, you still seem to be behind me, like, thank you, and I'm turning into babyface. But Dakota Kai coming out and essentially being like, hey, what's going on? I was seeing my doctor last week. I had nothing to do with that. And Bayley's like, I call bullshit. I've seen you with the others. And she's like, I've been in a weird position. Like, they've been saying stuff. I'm friends with them, but
I can't speak Japanese.
But I never wanted this to happen to you. And like, trust me. So I think they've done a good job with that, where I assume Dakota Kai will be fit soon. Like, she's moving around. Like, she just had a video, like new renders or something taken. Okay. It looked like. So I think she'll be returning soon. I wonder if you do a tag at the Chamber, like New Zealand being close proximity to Australia, it can be kind of a like a de facto hometown feel for Dakota Kai, as a babyface with Bayley against Kabuki Warriors, and then Dakota turns on Bayley. She can either be like, yeah, fuck you, Australia, I'm Kiwi, afterwards. But I thought Dakota sounded great as well. I think she's someone we were always very high up on in NXT, and
Team Kick.
This injury came
Evie.
Like, I mean, she's been injured pretty much the whole time, hasn't she?
She's been injured a lot in WWE. She's been injured in NXT before. Yeah. She's been injured a lot, but she's great. So,
but I thought she sounded excellent, and I'm quite compelled with the feud. Yeah. And they also sort of brought up that, like, Io didn't really attack Bayley either. So Bayley, it's like, it's the Kabuki Warriors. They're the poison. Like, but it's so I like what they're doing with that, and I think Bayley's gonna. I think she's been a champion and stuff, but she's never had that like moment that your Charlottes, your Sashas, your Beckys had. And I think she's grown a lot of respect for people. And I feel I think it could be a really good match between these two.
Yeah. She's never had her Mania moment kind of per se, right? I mean, she's lucky Charlotte's out and Sasha's busy doing something else in a few weeks. So really it's like, Bayley, now's your time to shine. And she's with Io, which, the match should be pretty good.
Yeah.
The story is pretty good already. So going towards that as one of the big matches is great. I do imagine it's Becky and Rhea as well. That seems like the money match.
Yeah. Becky's in the Chamber. Rhea's facing Nia Jax at Elimination Chamber, which, I'm not a big Nia Jax fan, but I do think they've built this quite well. They've done a better job with Nia as this like monster coming in this time round. I'm still not a big fan of her wrestling, but I think they've done a good job, and you're building to that sort of, Rhea hitting a big move on Nia.
The Riptide.
That's it.
Yeah.
Becky and Bianca both qualified for the Women's Chamber. Jade, we haven't really seen since
the Rumble.
Since the Rumble. I wonder if she, I could see you doing Bianca and Jade at Mania, but you kind of need to get Jade on TV.
She's in the chamber, no?
No.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the other qualifying matches are, but yeah, I could see you going, because Bianca needs a big match at Mania. So Jade makes sense. You had the moment at the Rumble, and I think that would be cool.
Yeah.
And then we've so far had Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton qualify for the men's chamber.
Yeah, who else would you put in that one? I mean, you would imagine that it is winning that is Gunther.
Sorry, winning
Drew.
Drew, I guess, makes sense, and I'm loving this character. We've just seen the Seth match.
Yeah, I've seen it so many times.
A few times now.
I don't care about it.
I wonder if I was very surprised Sami Zayn was eliminated, because after that sit down interview with him the other day and him feuding with Drew, I kind of thought we might get a 3-way,
Okay.
And that way you do all the traditions, you do the 3-way for a title at the 10th anniversary, and you do the double duty thing for the 10th anniversary. Yeah. But maybe Sami can come into it some way. We have seen in the past, they've done the chamber where 3 people have started the match and then 4 in the pods. So we've had 7 in a chamber. They've done that a few times.
Okay.
So you could always do the wild card match, the losers of the qualifying matches compete. But yeah, I was surprised Sami's not in it. Randy, could be a left field option for Seth. It's a match you haven't done for quite a while. Randy's hot right now. Would be babyface.
Yeah, maybe Randy Drew at WrestleMania instead. I'd much prefer Seth in a good match, maybe like Sami versus Seth. But like you're saying, he's not even in the chamber at this moment. Maybe that's not quite possible. But yeah, I'm liking the stuff with Drew, shitting on Punk and being like a dickhead who's really got truth behind the things he says. But when it comes down to it, I don't want to watch him wrestle in these big marquee matches anymore. So I'm not necessarily looking forward to him versus Seth if that's the big title match. I mean, that I've seen 100 times. It's
a way Seth has an out, because if he is wrestling night 1, it can be an excuse for him dropping the title night 2.
Right.
But yeah, I still maybe see us going to some kind of 3-way, even though we've got this chamber thing.
Be a better match if Sami, Seth, and Drew than just Drew and Seth.
Yeah.
So
what would you do with Randy for Mania?
I do Randy Drew one-on-one, just that as a story, but I don't think that's the route. What else? What else?
Randy is predominantly on SmackDown, but
okay. I don't know who else is big that you could put him with in a tag match. It doesn't have
Kevin Owens isn't he'll be finished with the Logan Paul story, I think, by Mania, and I imagine I would think LA Knight Logan Paul makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's a couple of
same with Gunther. Where does he go? Right,
Gunther's feuding with Jey Uso right now.
That's
right now.
TV
so
feud.
Yeah, that could be TV. I don't even know if Gunther can travel yet, so might not be able to even be on Chamber.
Okay.
They've got a lot of big names right now, and that's including with Punk being out. So
yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see where the undercard all fits together.
The Gunther match is something that Mania will.
That's a marquee match as well,
exactly.
Right?
So yeah, either way, WrestleMania should be looking pretty good this year, and I'm sure both nights will kick ass just like last year, and I'm looking forward to it.
And then we had British Strong Style beat DIY.
Oh, I didn't watch that. Oh, I completely forgot.
It was pretty good. Really felt like a throwback NXT tag match. Same thing I said the last week or so. It's kind of cool watching these main roster shows with main roster crowds who are into the stars and kind of on their hands for everything else, and then getting into it. The crowd were hot for this match, and they're all relatively cold characters in a way, I'd say, on the main roster, but just building steam through their wrestling. It just feels like, man, I was watching this 6 years ago. It's you've got to it finally, but it's quite late getting to it. But they're definitely getting over just by their wrestling alone. And so we're getting Judgment Day versus British Strong Style at Elimination Chamber.
Nice, which also would be a pretty good match as well. Priest also having the briefcase. Is this guy just going to hold on to this till next Money in the Bank?
Yeah, like that's a point. He could potentially, like he's leaning babyface now, so he's someone who could do an advanced cash in.
Right.
You know, you could have Drew wins the chamber, and then Priest is like I want my moment. I'm cashing in. It will be a triple threat.
Right. Oh, you could make it a 4-way with him, I guess. But then, yeah, I feel like he's just cashes in and wins that title.
I just wonder because they really seem to be trying to lean him babyface now, and whether it seems. I mean, I know Big E cashed in as a babyface.
Yeah, a bunch of people have.
Yeah,
it's not usually.
Be interested. I'd kind of almost like it to be announced before him do the advanced thing.
But yeah,
it would make the match more interesting for sure.
Yeah. I just don't know if he's necessarily ready as one of the big high. Although that title doesn't matter. But
yeah, also it's like it doesn't have to be a long run. Like Mania is, you can flip it about.
There's always the Raw after
SummerSlam, right? Yeah,
like Seth could retain, and then I like how storyline wise they let him say like, "Oh, I'm not allowed to cash in on Seth right now. That's why I haven't done it." Because remember, I was like, Seth comes out and says, "I'm hurt. I might not make it to Mania." I'm like, okay.
Oh, because he's not cleared to. I guess that does make sense. So
kayfabe wise, they've basically said like you're not allowed because he's hurt.
It kind of makes sense because if you're not cleared to wrestle, you can't sign a contract to wrestle, and that's essentially what the money. And
I mean, most of the time you're not signing a contract anyways because you're laying down, and then they cash it in. But the little things matter sometimes. But
but all in all, I found WWE quite compelling recently, and I'm it's always a fun time, speculating the Mania card and what they're going to put together, and I think the Punk injury I think's had a massive ripple effect, like the different things it's affected.
I'm like I feel for the people who maybe were like, oh, Punk is finally back in WWE, all is well, and it's like as soon as it happened, he's gone already, and it's kind of like the kind of the wind is out of the sails a bit. But there's so many other hot things going on right now that he's not missed. I don't think his match would be like the most talked about thing after the fact. But
postpones it to another time when maybe there's other you don't have a Rock being around, and
there's a match you go to, something from the presser, which Punk he just loves talking about punching people in the face all the time. And when he was talking about that on the mic, you could see The Rock hearing him and looking back, like, this motherfucker talking about me. Like, there you go. There's your match.
Yeah, him going like, hey, where were you all in 2013 when The Rock took my moment then?
And sorry, but The Rock looks like he could fucking eat CM Punk. Like The Rock looked gassed in that electric elbow, people's elbow a few weeks ago, but the meat could fall off the bone for The Rock, but he looks like he could pick up CM Punk and physically eat him. So I don't understand this guy. I'd punch him in the face. I'm like, brother, you'd punch no one.
He did say in his promo the other week about I do things that terrify me. Like I went and did UFC. I didn't win a thing, and I probably knew that going in.
And then he brought up 3 separate times at that press conference about I like to punch people in the face.
I punched my boss in the face. Blah blah blah. I think he should be on commentary for Mania.
CM Punk?
Yeah.
Just because they want him to do something.
We
paid you all this fucking money.
He seems to he comes across like he's enjoying what he's doing. He's going
sounded like that last time, I'm not fooled me once, can't get fooled again.
Well, but last time,
I love AEW and the talent. I'm here for the kids.
No, but remember last time he was injured and he said I was laid at home doing nothing, and I imagine that's where he's reading the reports, the Colt Cabana shit, and just is alone doing nothing and get worked up. Whereas now he's keeping himself busy. He's going to the performance center. He's helping out there. People actually seem to want his advice and doing the panel and that sort of thing. I can see him having a presence on Mania, and I could see it being,
I don't know,
on commentary. You can shoot an angle.
Hey, that's totally a good idea. And if he's fucking injured and you paid him a fuck ton of money, he should be doing stuff to keep promos and promoing and previewing things. Like this spot is perfect for him, where he's able to talk about it and stuff like that. It's all he still is able to do is talk. But I don't trust him the way you kind of said. Oh, he sounds believable now. No. He sounded that way all the time. He always sounded the voice of the voiceless. But when it comes down to it, he came here and got a lot of money and got hurt right away. So like, yeah, he's guys laughing his fucking way to the bank because he's being paid. Will he do commentaries? Like that's like anyone would do that.
Well, if they don't use him, they can just tack those injury months on at the end.
Yeah,
that's how the contracts work, right?
So
it's see what they want to do. I don't know, right? Like, I just listened to the latest episode of Eagles Don't Hunt Flies on this very feed where Martin, Brandon, and Dickie talk all about Moxley versus Punk from AEW. And re-listening to sort of Punk's first kind of promo back after his injury already sounds pissed off. He sounds like a different Punk since like before. But as I said, he was sat at home that whole time, whereas we've seen him a few times. They've like been documenting his, like him in the hospital and surgery and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know. We'll see once he's healed, but right now he seems like he's in a good place.
Yeah, money will make you do that. I think if you had a job that someone called you out on workers' rights, maybe you would get pissed off, right? But no matter what, he's being paid a hefty coin to stand around now. No wonder he's in a better mood. Like you got to be. You're getting paid. But yeah, he sounds exactly the way to me, like how he sounded. Like in AEW, weeks, months of promos. Like, wow, wrestling's great, isn't it? Look at this. I got Will Hobbs here. I got Daniel Garcia. Fuck Jungle Boy. He did say that in a promo years ago. Like, can't wait to punch him in the face. He's doing the same. He's recycling the hits a little bit, but I hope that he's like a nice guy and that we don't get him punching people, but we also hoped he wouldn't get injured, and that happened. So it's like, let's see where it plays out a bit.
What I also did like about the press conference as well is it wasn't just, Jerry Lawler, Booker T, and Pete Rosenberg being like, well, I want Rock Cody, the other, well, I want Cody Roman, and etc. It was like Biggie, like, sorry, what the fuck happened? What are we getting? Like acting like being like us, probably not being clued in, and everyone just coming across a bit more real and natural with, all right, which way we going here?
Biggie was great. It was nice seeing him as well there, saying that he was there for protection. CM Punk in case he fights somebody. But overall, like having Punk involved doing these kind of things helps. But I like the presser as a whole thing. And either way, we don't need him right now because the Mania card itself for 2 nights in a row will be stacked. They have a lot of stars here. Like you could heat up R-Truth to be in a singles match at WrestleMania this year. Like
I see him being the tag for sure.
Like there's a lot of things you could be doing with so many characters that you have treated right in the past little while that is paying off. So yeah, as much as like it definitely moves the needle bringing Punk back, they don't necessarily need him right now because we're stacked with all these other people, and we're all excited about this Mania season.
Yeah, absolutely. What shall we move on to next?
Maybe some AEW.
All right.
I know that it seems like we're on the road to Revolution in a few weeks. Sunday, March 3rd. We'll be watching that, I'm sure. We were going to do a watch party, but it didn't seem like as many people were as interested.
They're all going to North Carolina.
They're all going there. I mean, the tickets have moved for the show.
It's sold out, essentially.
It's like 15,000 or something at this point. So good for them for doing that, and definitely looking forward to this pay-per-view. But I really loved this episode from this week of Dynamite. I think one of my favorite episodes, full stop, at least in recent memory.
I think they've had a really strong run the last little bit, both on Collision and Dynamite. But this week's Dynamite especially felt like a really big show. It kind of felt like, those first big branded episodes we got where we'd have a Winter is Coming and a Grand Slam, which I think both of those have like really lost their luster. Like they've just felt like regular TV episodes. But I thought this show, like starting with that Hangman Page, Swerve Strickland 30-minute draw,
which was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, brilliant.
It was
stuff.
So good. Like one of the best matches of the year thus far already. Like just the chemistry. Obviously, the last time they fought with being the Texas Death Match, it wouldn't get to that kind of violence. But the wrestling, like 30 minutes, it breezed by, and you were so mad that happened. But you kind of knew where we were going with that. They announcing the triple threat for Revolution: Samoa Joe, Swerve, and Hangman. Hangman kind of doing a bit of a double turn there.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that because I feel it hard to boo Hangman, and
some people don't, but
and it's like, sorry, this guy like broke into his house, like taunting his child, his baby, and then faced you twice and cheated both times.
Yeah, got his buddy to help him
to
win.
beat you, and now you're the bad guy.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah, they could maybe explain it in a different way, but it seems like just the popularity of Swerve is just over. But of course, you know how wrestling works. As soon as Hangman turns full on heel, then all of a sudden he's going to get cheered again and be treated as if that's just how it works.
I think AEW play about a lot with like Hangman here, with Blackpool Combat Club and stuff. It's not necessarily like heel and babyface, but it's, you know, all these people have a goal. Hangman's goal is to be champion, and nothing's really going to get in his way, and he might do stuff. It's like, you know, when you see people argue and you're like, oh, both of you just seem like dicks here.
Right.
It's got that kind of feel, and he's not necessarily doing anything completely dastardly like when MJF was a big heel that makes you hate him, but for now, he's like, Hangman's kind of pissing me off right now.
It's that mustache.
Sort of thing. Yeah.
No, he looks pretty good with that mustache. Maybe that's why we hate him so much. It's like, fuck, look at it. He really makes that work, doesn't he?
What I love with this triple threat, though, is I think there's like strong arguments for all three winning this, which I think a lot of the time with triple threats, you go, oh, well, he's here to get pinned by him and to protect him.
Right.
I don't see that this way round. I think there's a lot more to be had with this Samoa Joe run. I think you could completely keep the title on him and have some more feuds moving forwards. If you want to go with Swerve now, like Swerve is hot, this could be the time to do it. Or do you have Hangman win it again and have a run with it, and Swerve down the line has to beat Hangman clean this time for the title? I think there's so many different directions, and I think even though they've really sort of dropped the devil stuff, there is a feud between the three of them as well. You know, Samoa Joe had Adam Page taken out. Hangman and Swerve have been having this feud for a while. Swerve has been just gunning for this title and doing anything to get there. So I think it works as a three-way and actually is more compelling than the singles, which I wouldn't normally say.
I think it's going to be amazing. Samoa Joe right now, loving this run. I mean, he had the match with Hook, really, and I just can't get over. I'm walking around doing the Samoa Joe walk after he slammed Hook on that table a few weeks ago and then walked around with his chest out, right? I keep walking around like that. It's great. So I'm really excited for this triple threat, and I know triple threats, like you said, can sometimes be a bit of a cop-out, but this time around, I'm like, whoa, there's going to be three matches here, really, and it involves all three of them facing each other. I think this could be one of the best triple threats of like...
And it allows the no DQ, which like all three will be good at and be creative with.
No, but the way Swerve and Hangman, that match, like 30 minutes, it breezed by, and at the end of it, 5 more minutes, and Hangman to be like, nah. Yeah. He's like, oh, interesting. So... yeah, little ripples in the story. I'd say AEW does do that where they don't have like clean-cut baby faces as much as maybe they had before. And that kind of goes back to Cody as well. Like Cody, we turned on him in AEW because he was too much of a baby face. Yeah. So really, you just can't win in any regard. But is it Swerve's time come Revolution? We shall see. But yeah, what a hell of a match to open Dynamite. I was like, well, there's Dynamite. That was great. Like nothing's topping that, but there was a lot of other great stuff on the show as well.
Yeah, I've been really enjoying the CMLL involvement. Yeah, would like to see them get a win at some point. But
I am a bit like that would have been the time to let them maybe win that one.
Yeah. But both on Dynamite and Collision this week having matches, and so I've enjoyed it. Like clearly, I think CMLL has better wrestlers than AAA from what I've seen of both of them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think as I said, need to start picking up wins, but just see it kind of feels a bit like what I said about main roster with DIY and British Strong Style, where the crowd are like, I don't know who this Hechicero is. And then afterwards, like, wow, that guy was awesome.
Yeah.
And really getting into it. I think it's been strong.
So, yeah, I love that match with these guys coming in, beefing. A bunch of luchadors fighting and beefing with BCC is like, yes, that's what I love in my wrestling. Luchadors versus anyone is fantastic. But even the match itself was glorious, but I'd like to see more iterations of all the different types of guys fighting these guys. And was it a promo afterwards that said, like, we're going to have to fight you in your neck of the woods? Like, sorry, is AEW going to Arena Mexico? Are we going to CMLL? Because, like, that's what I've been saying for fucking years. Like, let's tour with AEW, literally tour, because when AEW started, they got hit. We all got hit with a pandemic, and then they were forced to just kind of huddle in their little area down in Florida. And then when the world opened up, they've been starting to go. And then now they're seeing ticket sales might not be good in all these other places that they've hit before. Fucking go to Mexico. Go to fucking Japan. The only thing with
that is AEW popular in Mexico?
They don't even play it on TV there, probably.
Well, then why would you run a show there? Like, as cool as it would be.
First time you got to get it on TV is before you go there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, why would you book a big arena where the what is it, peso is going to be way weaker than the dollar?
You're going to have to take that hit.
You're not going to make money on it.
But, like, you're selling 2,000 tickets to fucking 15,000 arena. Like, you should be getting this on TV in other places so that you can go to, because bringing in CMLL guys is cool when you're near the border of Texas, because, like, Mystico is a huge draw in Mexico. If you announce him in a match in Texas near the border, people are going to come and support that. It has shown that AEW, they're like, oh, this guy actually does move the needle a bit for us when we're in certain towns and certain cities. So, like, I like this mix up with CMLL, and going forward, like, this should be somewhat of the Revolution pay-per-view. Like,
yeah, you could do.
They did the tag match already, though, so maybe rematch.
So you've got Danielson and Eddie confirmed for Revolution now. After Collision.
Yeah, we knew that was coming.
Eddie cutting a promo on Collision, like, basically being like, hey, I beat you and you still don't respect me. So this time when I beat you, you're going to have to shake my hand.
Right.
And you're going to have to respect me.
Hell yeah. That's going to be great.
So we're getting that. So, but you could have BCC plus AEW jobbers. What is it? Matt Sydal, Christopher Daniels. Why? You don't want to see Christopher Daniels?
I think they've done that on Rampage and stuff.
No, but, like, if you're doing like a 5-on-5 or something like that, I don't know.
Right.
You'd need bigger stars than those guys for sure. But yeah, I don't see what Moxley's direction is for. Or are you doing Mox versus Claudio?
At the pay-per-view?
Mox cutting a promo on Collision last week about basically, I'll fight anyone, whether it's a teammate or anyone in the world. So maybe that could be a thing as well.
Another thing that happened was Tony Khan's major announcement.
Yeah.
So major. Could have just been a written note, but instead he told us that in a few weeks, the TD Boston Garden will be some big business conducting from AEW. So March 13th, big business, which has sold a lot of tickets already this week. I think yesterday I saw it was already over 5K, which is higher than some of the shows from the past few weeks that they've been doing. So I'll look in a sec, but big business. It's got the logo with the blue purple colors, and where it says Boston on the side of the stadium, the arena, it's got the money signs. And pretty much, he's pretty much saying it is what you think.
Yeah, I didn't mind this as a big announcement. They're doing the CM Punk route with it. I think this was more justified than, hey, tickets are going on sale for All In from a few months ago. But yeah, finally we're getting Sasha into it. I think this could be the right time, you know, when Sasha first left WWE and she went and did the Stardom New Japan thing, I remember saying, I don't really want to see her in AEW because who does she face there? Like, the women's division wasn't strong. Whereas I think now you've got Tony Storm, who's obviously great in ring, and this character's really connecting. I think Deonna's been looking great since coming into the company. You've got your Chris Statlanders and Willow Nightingales who are like getting like better and better. Hopefully a returning Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. And then like there's, history with Saraya as well. And I think it's now like a way, it seems a way fuller division than it did a year or so ago. Queen Aminata, who just keeps on impressing whenever I see a wrestle, could do with a couple of wins soon. But so yeah, I think it feels like the right time now for Mercedes, and bringing her in is going to force them to like put stuff behind this women's division, because she ain't coming in cheap.
Absolutely not. She's coming in for a lot of money. Absolutely. I think this is great for them. And the women's division has been a low point for AEW. Like, everyone criticizes it, and maybe having such a big star come in forces them to step it up. Maybe she helps behind the scenes a bit more. Maybe, they focus on it a bit more to help it gain traction. Like, they do have some stars. You've mentioned all the names you did. Like, Willow is someone I'm like, wow. Like, every time I watch her wrestle, I'm like, you're one of my favorite wrestlers that they have, and they keep using her in the same kind of position. He seems to be like, he does this with the guy wrestlers too, don't get me wrong, but it's like, oh yeah, I like these people, I'm going to use these people every week, and then he gets bored with them, and then he goes, actually, I'm going to use these people a lot, and then you've forgotten about he cycles through, and it's like, then you kind of forget about these other people.
I mean, they've been Willow and Chris Statlander have been focused on Collision every week.
There's some of the heavy focus. Same with your like Sky Blues and Julia's and stuff. So, but with Sasha, Mercedes coming in here, like, there's so many big matches. Obviously, the Brit versus Mercedes is a big one. Match-wise, I'm not really too into that, but like an all-in, hopefully, knock on wood, Jamie Hayter versus Mercedes Moné should be the match, and would be like, that's the end game of the women's division with having Mercedes. Jamie comes back, and everyone is rejoicing, and then Mercedes goes like, who the hell are you? I'm the star of AEW right now. And Jamie's like, well, actually, I was the champ here. And there you go. The story kind of writes itself. And match-wise, like, they would absolutely kill it.
I do wonder if we know Tony loves belts, whether we're going to get women's tag.
Okay, that's not... I guess.
You've got Stokely Hathaway now managing Chris Statlander and Willow, who seem to be a team. You've got Sky Blue and Julia together. Like, you're building the women's division up a bit. I wonder if that's something he'll consider doing.
Give it to Sasha, and then have Sasha in a tournament for the singles title.
I mean, you do have Saraya and Ruby, who are like a team as well.
Yeah, there's lots of tag teams.
There's teams now, which it always feels weird to have teams if you don't have anything to go for. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see that unveiled.
But yeah, it's cool for Mercedes coming into AEW. I think maybe she should have came to AEW initially. Maybe that would have been like a bigger like oomph kind of thing, because as much as I love her, the intro to her at Wrestle Kingdom was a bit of a flub. She's had some really good matches though under the New Japan act, like her match with Willow where she got injured, but she had some other good matches.
Well, that's the thing as well. You'd imagine she'd have been doing more if it wasn't for the injuries. And
I mean, we saw her in the crowd there at Wembley, so you kind of understood that there was some sort of a relationship building. And yeah, I'm excited to see her wrestle, because like I said, we've been big fans of her for a long time. I know she's got a lot of people like basically preying on her downfall a bit more. You got your Fed fans out there that are so like tribalist of like, oh, she's going to fail and come crawling back. It's like, man, don't you just enjoy wrestling for like the rest? Like, some of the things you see people say, and honestly, I swear it's because she's a woman. I swear it's because she's a woman that most dude fans are just like, she's going to crash and burn and she'll go crawling back and this and that. Like, you didn't hear that as much about like CM Punk and something like, oh, he's going over there. Like, most people are like, oh, fuck.
You did right at the beginning of the show.
No. Like it's crazy that when people watched CM Punk show up to AEW, that's what I mean. Like, people are like, whoa, like he's jumped ship and all this stuff. That's not what I heard when I hear about Mercedes Renee. People are like, oh, she has to do that now because she lost it. They don't want her back or whatever. It's like, I don't know. I see the way people say things about like her compared to honestly like men wrestlers. And I'm like, is that something there that certain people aren't fans of this or something? And I don't think it's fair. I think I looked at WrestleTix a few days ago. It was almost at 6K. So I don't know what it is right now, but clearly enough of a needle mover to draw tickets that fast. Yeah. So there's the answer to that. Like, Edge didn't do that.
No,
they didn't book Edge in Toronto yet. He is here possibly in a few weeks, which they're only started advertising. Remember when I said a few weeks ago, where the fuck is Edge in the advertising for the Toronto show with 3,000 tickets sold? Where was that? They started doing that this week. I finally started seeing them promoting things, and I see good things for Mercedes Renee. I do want to see her back in WWE because there's the 4 horsewomen and all that stuff with Bayley, but 3-year contract, maybe something like that. Like I see good things for her helping AEW and them helping her as well. But I'm expecting some good matches from her, and Jamie would be the one to go to, but we'll see. This is all after Revolution.
After Revolution, yeah.
And we're going to the Dynamite after here in Toronto. It's the week after the big business. So I imagine she's on that show. I imagine we see Ospreay on that show, possibly Okada on that show. Like going forward.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to do a double hitter on this big business show. Sort of, the way they're hyped, one of the biggest nights ever. Like they're strongly teasing Mercedes, obviously. I wonder if we get a Okada or an Ospreay or all 3 show up.
Yeah, Fightful today reporting that Okada is in fact signing with AEW.
Coward.
Absolute coward.
Yeah, honestly, Okada in AEW does nothing for me. I don't think, when like watching his last match with Tanahashi and they're saying he's done everything here. He wants to achieve other things. It's like, cool, but I don't see AEW as being the challenge for him.
Yeah.
I see WWE as being the challenge. I see WWE as the fresh competitors. AEW, like, I don't know. Name me one fresh match you're excited to see with Okada.
Action Andretti.
Okay, there we go.
Luther.
I stand corrected. Okay.
I mean, this week we were like, can't wait to see him in NXT. I mean, it's like, is that what people like? There's 2 sides to it. I agree.
Yeah, I'd rather see Okada versus Ilya Dragunov than an Okada versus anyone in AEW.
Like, it's sounding like it is a done deal that he is in AEW, and I definitely agree. The way New Japan is like, yeah, he's done here, it's over with, and it was such a big send-off to just have him go to AEW, which they do shows with New Japan constantly. Ishii was just on TV. In fact, Ishii was wrestling on AEW TV live, so therefore he wasn't there live to be there for Okada, who was his friend's last match. Thanks, TK. So I just don't understand that this is the big like goodbye when it's like, well, he's going to AEW. It's not.
Jake in the set chat says, but he makes a ton of money, so good for him. Doesn't matter how big of a challenge it is. Respectfully, as a fan, I don't give a shit how much these people are making. As a fan, I want to be entertained and see the interesting stuff. Like, I'm not happy for Ronaldo going to Saudi Arabia because he's now making more money than he did before.
Right.
That isn't a challenge. Ronaldo playing in a league against shittier players, and that's kind of how I feel.
I was happy seeing Ronaldo happy when The Undertaker came out.
Yeah.
Because The Undertaker was paid a shit ton of fucking money.
Yeah.
The Undertaker posting selfies.
Okada should be financially stable if he were to retire today. I'm not concerned about how much money TK or TKO are paying him.
Yeah, look, it's down to like he's wrestled a bunch of their top guys already. In fact, Forbidden Door isn't so forbidden if the guy's now just walked into this company and he's like, yeah, I'm working here. We've seen him versus Kenny. We've seen him versus Danielson. We've seen him versus Ospreay. Like, when MJF comes back, cool. That's definitely a big match to go to. Okada teaming with the Elite? I don't know.
It's Okada, Swerve, like
Samoa Joe,
Hangman, but yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There's still great matches that we will see, and I'm totally going to be supportive of Okada in AEW, but I am a little shocked that this seems to be the decision that he's going with, because it just seemed a bit more like fresher, if
interesting.
A bit more interesting. Yeah, and it's definitely like, oh, okay, it's just not as exciting. Maybe we'll see. Again, once he comes out, if he's showing up at big business, which I assume Sasha and Okada both debut at this show in Boston. Like, yeah, cool, but what do you do with him is what's going to be more interesting. And I just don't know if they'll be able to keep him interesting. Like, you might make him just another guy, and WWE that could happen too. But like, I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Also loved the main event on Dynamite this week with Sting and Darby against Ricky Starks and Big Bill, with Sting and Darby winning the championships and then getting attacked by the Bucks, being a bloody mess. Great angle to end the show. And really heated up this match for Revolution.
Sting doing balcony dives.
Yeah.
Like 2-3 weeks before you're set to retire in another match. I'm like, oh my God. But I love diving Sting off of anything. So was absolutely going crazy for that. Loved the match. Actually, it was better than I expected. It had some fun stuff. And then Sting winning, of course, like crazy that this guy won the title 25 years ago. No, I think 10 years ago is the last time. Something crazy like that. But either way, like insane. And then, love the beatdown with the Bucks. Visually, it looked amazing. The picture they took afterwards, very Clockwork Orange-esque with the bloody like white suits. And
this is what they need to be doing more of. And they've got new music now, which we heard on Rampage.
Yeah, what was their new music? It's
just like slower and more,
evil.
Yeah, EVP, exactly. Just instrumental. No.
Yeah, no, I loved this beatdown and obviously setting up for the match at Revolution, which I think could be pretty good. But I loved the match, loved the final beatdown. I even kind of got into Jericho to Takeshita as well, minus Jericho wearing the mask and then jumping and clearly not being able to see where he was jumping.
Yeah, I didn't think a whole lot of the match. To be
honest. I liked the match, but it had like a few spots. I was like, oh, that's questionable.
I really want Takeshita he's beaten Jericho and Kenny twice now. Like, let's do something with him.
Yeah, he's the one who should come out in Boston being like, everyone here sucks. I keep beating everyone. Fuck Chris Jericho. And Okada should come out and be like, oh, I see you beat up Kenny. I see you've been doing some things. I'll face you, and that's your setup for a bit. Like that should be the first program for Okada, to have them not wrestle right away, but set up for like a paper, whatever their next pay-per-view, Double or Nothing or something. Because Takeshita Okada is a match I do want to see in AEW. But loved him beating Chris Jericho, and I just really want him away from Don Callis. I just want him on his own. He doesn't need like him as the voice anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I'd rather, like, his wrestling is so good. So I see bigger things for him in 2024, but a match with Okada would be pretty sweet.
We had on Collision Daniel Garcia beating Shane Taylor, and then later in the night, Adam Copeland saying, well, I'm third in the rankings, and Swerve and Hangman are going for the world title. So that leaves me with the International, the TNT, or one of the dozen belts Eddie holds, as Adam Copeland said. And he says, well, I said I'd be going for Christian. I'm going to get that TNT title. And then Daniel Garcia came out and is like, hey, I've been racking up the wins as well. And like, I respect you, but I want to go for that. So that set up a match on this Wednesday on Dynamite, Garcia versus Adam Copeland, which has my interest. I thought both sounded really good here. You had like them do the respect angle, shaking hands, and then Adam Copeland pulling him in and being like, basically, I'm going to beat the shit out of you.
Right.
So I think that's going to be pretty good. I see Copeland winning.
Yeah.
But it's cool that they're really starting to elevate Garcia now, it seems.
Yeah, I do love Garcia, and I do think there's some bigger things this year for him as well. But that's the thing with AEW. They got a lot of guys cooking, and then they just let them cook and let them cook and then let them cook. And it's like, well, we may have moved on. As fans, like, certain things get old pretty quickly, and they have a stop-start factor, especially with Garcia. But he is one of my favorite guys they got.
Yeah. And then Orange Cassidy defeated Tomohiro Ishii to retain the AEW International Championship in the main event, which was pretty fun. It was as you imagine the match to be. Right. Like I enjoyed watching it. It's Ishii doing Ishii things, Orange doing Orange things. But the end especially was pretty good. Some really big near falls, like Ishii essentially absorbing the Superman punch, the Orange punch, and not going down. And I got into it. It was pretty fun.
I didn't catch Collision, but I would watch it. But I did find it interesting Ishii was there live, not with like his boys for like the final. Everyone's having champagne being sprayed. Yeah, Tana and Okada and Chaos, and Ishii's just in a hotel by himself like that.
Yeah.
Didn't win the title tonight.
Well, he'd have been in like a 10-man at the beginning of the show anyway. So,
he was missed.
Yeah.
He was missed. But yeah, Dynamite was pretty good. AEW was pretty good this week. Looking forward to the next few weeks with the big business announcement and Revolution. Like Revolution is stacking up to be a pretty good. I'm liking the Tony Storm, Mariah May and Deanna stuff as well. Pretty funny. But I think the match itself will be good. That's why I let the like silliness slide when it's like, oh, the character is super working, especially with Deanna, who's someone I didn't like before at all.
I really like her. I think she's already one of the best in ring in AEW in the women's division. And I think when she finds her footing, I think she is a good promo. I think she sounded a little nervous on that first week, but she knows like a character, this virtuosa thing. And I actually think she's working really well against Tony because she's acknowledging how absurd it all is. Whereas the only real feud we've had with Tony in this character so far has been Hikaru Shida, who all she could really do is pull faces. Oh, what's she doing? Whereas now it's Deanna's like, what the fuck happened? We roomed together. We got matching tattoos. And now you think you're
from the 40s.
Yeah. Like what's going on?
So I'm looking. Yeah, that match will be good. Orange Cassidy versus Roderick Strong also should be a pretty good match.
They beat down Orange at the end.
Yeah. Are we getting Ishii versus Roddy? That'd be pretty sick.
We could get, I don't know how long Ishii's sticking around, but we could get some sort of tag match this week.
Yeah, exactly. And then the triple threat, as we mentioned, and then Kingston and Danielson. So yeah, so far. Oh, and the Sting, we presume Sting and Darby versus the Bucks. So I mean, yeah, that's a pretty stacked card. I'm looking forward to it.
We also had New Japan, The New Beginning on last night.
This morning.
3 matches really to talk about on this one. Okada versus Tanahashi for potentially the last time ever until Forbidden Door in June.
It doesn't sound as like, oh, well, you could just see him again next year. You'd be in the same locker room. But yeah, I skimmed this as well. I kind of cherry picked the big matches, as you said, the big 3 here. First being Okada Tanahashi one last time, quote unquote, maybe, possibly, which I really loved. I got pretty emotional as Okada making his entrance, just straight up crying.
I love the moment they like faded his music down,
right?
Like just before he got on the apron, they just let the crowd chant his name and sounded like deafening. It was pretty cool.
It sounded like the biggest star on this whole show, really, as he is the star. I mean, they called this show New Japan: The New Beginning, when to me this seemed like the series finale of New Japan.
Yeah,
you're losing Ospreay and you're losing Okada, and your main event is some guys I don't even know their names. I love this match with Tanahashi. Obviously, Okada Tana wrestled a whole bunch before. Obviously, didn't get to like the levels of some of their older matches in their feud, but for what it was, I still really liked it.
I think it was
perfect for what it.
The best Tanahashi's looked for a while. Like I liked his Wrestle Kingdom match with Zack. I thought that was good, but I thought it was a fitting last match for the both of them.
Yeah.
And bringing up that Okada is now the age that Tanahashi was when Okada beat him.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a nice, like, little thing. But yeah, really got into the match. Nice post-match, like quite emotional with them sort of hugging and doing like Rock and Austin at 19, where like Tanahashi's like whispering to him. And we're trying to work out what he's saying.
See you in June.
Yeah. But yeah, really enjoyed that. And then Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr.
Yes, this match, the rematch of the century. They fought again the first time, well, the real first time at Wrestle Dream just last year. So we got to see this rematch. Boy, did it live up to the hype. I mean, this was easily the match of this show, but match of the year contender, banger alert right here, the rematch here. Zack Sabre Jr. going over Bryan Danielson with a great finish. I mean, the whole match, Cage Match is telling me it went 32 minutes and 6 seconds.
Yeah.
The whole match was a game of chess, just like the first one. And just a few months ago, we rewatched their first encounter. So it's still kind of fresh in my head. And oh my God, like the counters to transitions to transitions. It's insane. But the finish coming with like pinning attempts where finally Zack Sabre Jr. was just able to get him down for 3 seconds, and Brian's not even pissed. He's like, you got me.
I loved the first match. I might have preferred this one.
It may have been better. Yeah.
It was excellent.
So good.
Okay, so Zack did pin him. Neither submitted each other
Exactly.
again. But to be fair to Zack, it was a
Hold.
wrestling hold that pinned him. I kind of wish Zack won with the Zack driver.
Yeah.
Just so it was a bit more like, you know, like, well, you won with a Busaiku knee. Like, neither has submitted the other or used a wrestling hold. It was still a wrestling hold. You can still do that. Like, the final one has to be either like 30-minute submissions match or like submission only or something like
Danielson has since quoted saying that he goes, well, he beat me with a hold, so he technically is now the best technical wrestler.
Right.
He beat me. However, I want a wrestling promoter in 2024 to please book a 2 out of 3 falls match between us. So
okay.
TK was like, I got you, fam. I got you.
Right. Yeah, I thought it was great. I loved the stuff with the you know, when they were like in the knee bar, just slapping and kicking each other.
Spitting each other.
What is with Danielson and spitting at people?
Love it.
Yeah. No, this was sensational.
Yeah, easily one of the best. We'll be talking about this match at the end of the year for sure, but just fantastic. Like, these two guys are deep into the art of wrestling. I mean, wrestling can be so many different things in so many different genres, but when I watch this, it makes me like, this is what I love.
Well, it looks real. Do you know what I mean?
Like they're sparring.
You buy it.
Yeah,
for sure.
I really love this. And Zack Sabre Jr. Kind of ghost titling afterwards, like, look, I beat this fucking guy. Give me a title again. So he should be someone they pivot as one of their bigger stars here in New Japan because he's just so fantastic. But yeah, wow, what a technical matchup between these two. There's so many different counters that went in and out of this. It's like, yeah, I need to rewatch it already after watching it. A side note, I mentioned briefly, a friend of the show, Daniel Lloyd, Beta Club Field Trip, who does our chiptune versions of songs for certain podcasts. He months and months ago booked tickets to the Tokyo Dome to go see Taylor Swift, which happened to be this week. In doing so, he realized New Japan was also doing a show in Osaka, and he wanted to go visit Osaka. So he got tickets to that show as well.
Wow.
Months go by. Then the news comes out. Okada's going to wrestle his last match then. Then it's Tanahashi. He goes, wow, I didn't realize I was, so lucky to be going to this. So not only did he get to see Taylor Swift, who you think Taylor, if she didn't have to make it for the Super Bowl, would have stayed for Okada's last match.
Probably, yeah.
But
she probably dated him.
Hey, he's married. Come on. Stop.
It's a dated.
All right. Back in the day?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Red Scarf song is actually about Okada.
Exactly.
So our friend Daniel went.
Wouldn't that be Inoki?
The scarf? Yeah. Well, really, it's Jake Gyllenhaal. I believe, yeah.
Okay.
He got to go to this show, and he wrote in saying that, like, he had some pretty sweet seats as well. Actually, he said that he really loved Okada and Tana, but he thought that Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. was easily the match of the show, the match of the night, and I'm sure he'll be remembering seeing that live. So, hey, Daniel, we're all very jealous of your little trip there. But then he said the main event went way too long, which I definitely
How
agree.
long did this actually go, this main? Do you have the
Let's
the
see here.
there?
I have Cage Match here. It went 64 minutes, 5 seconds.
Okay, wow.
As I said, this match went way too long.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had these 2 great singles matches on this card. There was a bunch of other stuff on this show as well, but for time, I'm going to cherry pick the main event, the Steel Cage 10-man tag match, the Bullet Club War Dogs taking on the United Empire. Gun to my head, I could not name every single person in this match. However, there was some good stuff in it. Don't get me wrong. There were some great spots with different tables. It basically was kind of like a War Games where, like, there were staggered entrances to begin with. My problem was this was supposed to be a cage match. Instead, it was half a cage match.
It was a fence.
It was, hey, we don't want our dog going off the property, so we're going to put half a cage in this match, which at one point, the entire structure, if you even want to call it a structure, almost completely fell over as Jeff Cobb slammed someone into it. So, which made me very nervous. But there's probably a reason New Japan hasn't done cage matches in fucking 20 years or whatever it may be, because it looked like shit.
Yeah, I didn't like the look of this cage at all. I liked the space around the ring, kind of more like Hell in a Cell style.
Yeah.
But this cage needed to be higher, and it just looked like a fence rather than a cage.
It's like a lion's den.
No, Lion's Den's way cooler.
Lion's Den had a roof. It was like an octagon.
No, Lion's Den was like
Octagon.
tilted, like a
Right,
tilted
right.
octagon with like a platform on the top.
This was like a dog, like the War Dogs were in it, so they got dog fencing like all
Yeah,
around it.
I like aesthetically didn't look very good.
Yeah.
The match was all right. I was expecting way more from this, to be honest. There were some cool spots, but it went way too long.
Over an hour long.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of bizarre. It got very played out by the end of it. But like I said, there was some cool stuff. There was some giant thumbtacks. There was chairs.
And I think as well, it's, you know, the thing with, we haven't been like too hot on the main roster War Games matches we've had the last 2 years, like the actual match themselves. But you've got to say something about the star power. And I think that's something where Survivor Series can be fun, where you're just seeing all these main eventers on one team in one match. It adds something to it. And there's a lot of talented people in this, but as you said, being like very casual on New Japan these days, not watching everything, these aren't your top guys. Like if this was an ultimate cage match of, you know, like Ospreay, Tana, Naito, Okada, Ishii, Shingo, like all of that, you'd be like, fuck, okay, you can justify an hour and 4 minutes because every entrance feels huge in this, whereas there's a big entrance and it's Drilla Maloney, and
who,
like, all the respect.
Oh, but wait, TJP is also now a werewolf.
Yeah,
demon.
He's the ass wank, isn't he? Isn't that what
his name is?
That's what he's called. Yeah,
I don't know if that's what he's called.
It's called the ass wank.
He looks like he's trying to do the Finn Balor demon, but then found like the shopping bag lady dress thing he's got going on. I don't know what.
Whatever. It's something like. But yeah, like just in half the time, this might have been cooler. Yeah. You know, make the entrances quicker and do it in 35 minutes rather than 65.
And like, I get, you know, they gave Ospreay the big main event here with this cage match with all his mates and everything. It's cool. And he said his goodbyes, but same thing. He's going to AEW and he's been saying in all these interviews that part of my contract will allow me to still wrestle in New Japan. So it's like, well then why are we making such a big stink about like you leaving if you're not really leaving? You'll be back. You'll be wrestling again in spectacle matches, Wrestle Kingdom stuff, I'm sure. Like, so yeah, it didn't feel maybe as special as like the Okada send off where it's like huge entrance, single thing, hug at the end. Here it was like all these guys all bloodied. And he's like, anyways, got to beat up these guys. So I didn't feel like it was as special, but
I was expecting more from this.
Yeah, I didn't really enjoy the main event, but overall, pretty good show from what I watched. And Danielson, Zack Sabre Jr. was just untouchable and will be this year. It's going to take a lot for some wrestlers to top it, but yeah, overall, like thumbs up from what I did see, but thumbs down for that War Dogs cage match. But I like some of the talent in it. Don't get me wrong. Like Gabe Kidd is someone to watch. As someone who's super young, who's already like steps above some of the other people. He seems like he genuinely is a hothead in real life, and I don't know if that makes it good or bad, but it makes things very entertaining. So he's definitely someone to watch. And then one final thing I know that is of note is New Japan teasing the tag team titles, the IWGP tag titles. I think the heavyweight titles, and they kind of flashed different teams and stuff like that. I don't even know who the actual champions are, but I think it's Bullet Club, Chase Owens and Kenta are now the champions. But in this video, flashing over different teams, they showed briefly the Lucha Brothers. So I'm wondering if we're getting the Lucha Brothers down in Japan there, which would definitely spice things up for not only New Japan and the tag division, but for Lucha Brothers as well. So possibly seeing those two down there would be pretty interesting. So there you go. Okada's gone, Ospreay's gone, and they'll be in AEW going forward. So there was all the wrestling from this week. Anything else that we missed? Anything from SmackDown?
Nope.
Raw. I watched Women of Wrestling this week, and something I've never seen in a wrestling show, which is very scary. Someone got injured in a match. The ref checks on them, and she goes, "No, I'm fine." And then the match continues, and then while she's continuing to wrestle, the ref then goes, "No, actually, I need to call this off. She got concussed." And they focus on it. They replay it 3 times. They go to commercial break. And then when they came back, they spent another 5 to 10 minutes recapping it on different angles of the injury of her getting concussed, which was just like mind-boggling to me because in WWE they would never do that. They would cut away from it and everything. And you could tell she was like genuinely pissed off. So shout out Ariel Sky, but it was from this episode, and I'm sure it'll be clipped when people catch on and everything. But it was interesting because in WWE and AEW, if someone's injured, they don't just zoom in on the person; they zoom in on someone else or something. But besides from that, I actually thought that they had one of, if not my favorite episode, with their new champion Maybelline Maverick. But like it was so bizarre seeing this injury, and I've watched so much wrestling that I was like, what? No company would ever do that. But recommend checking that out for any of those people interested. But thank you, everyone, in the YouTube chat there. I see you guys. Appreciate you guys. We didn't talk about Scott D'Amore.
I got to go. Yeah. We can talk on Tuesday, but I've got to set up at work.
Well, there you go. So hang out with us on Tuesday. I would tell you to check us out on patreon.com/Poisonrana because we have lots of other shows. We just put out our Kill Bill review, our review of The Crow is coming out this week. Check out all the other stuff that we have. What did we review this week?
We've had Kill Bill come out, and what did we do? I can't remember. We've recorded Elimination Chamber, but that's banked for a little bit. And
so this week we're recording a profile on the Nation of Domination.
Yes.
B Detroit will be joining us for that. And patreon.com, become a friend for $5 to hear all the other podcasts that we do. Appreciate everybody in the chat.
Battle Royale 2. There we go.
Oh, yeah. Excellent. Battle Royale 2. How could you forget? Appreciate everyone in the YouTube chat. We'll be back on Tuesday on the post feed, chatting all about some NXT. And we'll be back here on this very feed on Sunday, probably at 2 p.m. next week. So join us for that at Poisonrana Pod, Twitter, Instagram for all the updates of everything that we do. And I myself, Braden Herrington, Twitter, Instagram at the Brady.
And I am at Davie Portman.
That's it. That's all. Take care. Goodbye. Be safe. And go Chiefs.
Ahoy!
Poisonrana.